Okay, so let's talk about Evil Dead Rise, its ending, and where we're going with this franchise after. So I got the chance to see Evil Dead Rise at South by Southwest, as you can see, and I was definitely excited to be there. Lee Cronin, everybody there, Sam Raimi, Alyssa Sutherland, Lily Sullivan. Also, we had Bruce Campbell, and many others in there. And I was excited. I got the chance to see it early, and I definitely have been thinking about this movie a lot and where it's headed to. So check out my review if you haven't already. This is, of course, spoilers because we're going to talk about the whole movie from beginning to end. Like I said, ending explained. Let's start at the beginning. So the first couple of shots for Evil Dead definitely were very much so giving you what you wanted from Evil Dead, especially the Sam Raimi movies and of course the movie Fede Alvarez did back in 2013. You got this cabin, you got these friends, and things are about to pop off. Literally, things are popping off. We have these friends that are out there and they're trying to enjoy a good time out, and one of the friends has been sort of in bed all time, and now they're trying to see what's really going on with them. We see one of the friends end up going to go see them, see what's happening, and then we know that things are about to go bad when we hear that friend's voice change and everything, and it's that demonic voice, you know what I'm talking about. Then we just see the friend that has been in bed this whole time sort of start jerking around, moving all the weirdly and crazy, and then out of nowhere just takes off and rips the scalp off of the other friend, then goes to get the other guy who's out there. We then see the friend throw herself into the water, and the other guy, he goes in to try and save them and ends up dying as well. And then we just see the possessed friend float up into the air as the name appears, Evil Dead Rise. One of the best openings of any horror, I think, and probably the best opening from an Evil Dead movie for sure. I really enjoyed how we saw this sort of callback to the older movies, and then it says, this isn't the Evil Dead movie, let's take it back a little bit to see where things began. And so we're leaving that campsite for now, and we get back to it in a bit. I'll talk more about that. So then we start off with the main characters in our movie. This is Beth, of course, who we are seeing as the new Ash, I would say. And Beth is a person who works in the music industry. She does things for concerts, instruments and all of that. And now she is going to visit her dear sister Ellie as well as her kids. And we see that Ellie and her kids sort of have this pretty good relationship, I would say. They definitely feel like a family that's open and you can talk about anything and all of that, which I enjoy that the movie does kind of establish that they do have this sort of close-knit relationship as well. You have Danny, you have Bridget, you have Cassie, and you have these characters now that are established here. We see that Beth does come to visit them, and it's like they live in this apartment building that's kind of run down. We learn that the apartment building is going to be sold, and now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do, where they're going to stay, all of this. Beth, of course, was not used to all of this. They do have a sort of good relationship, but not really the best relationship out there. Like, they're not estranged or anything where they don't want to see one another. It's just Beth doesn't really visit Ellie as much and vice versa. So there's kind of like a little tension here and there about all of that as well. Eventually, we see that the kids go out to get pizza for dinner, and when they're returning back, there's this whole little like earthquake happening and all of that. And what happens is it uncovers this sort of secret thing under the apartments. It's sort of like a vault of sorts. As we learned, there used to be a bank here. He goes under there to try and find stuff, and what he finds, of course, is the Book of the Dead as well as the records, and he brings them back with him. So of course we know, Danny, do not pick those things up. In our head, we're thinking that we know what this is. It's the Book of the Dead. Things aren't going to go like the way you think they're going to go with this. And he eventually starts playing the records. He starts reading the book, and that's when things just go bonkers. We immediately see that the spirits are here, the demons and everything is out, and now who is going to get it? Of course, we know it's going to be Ellie. We have some other established characters here as well, the neighbors and all of that we see, some younger ones, an older man, and we know that these characters are definitely going to be one of the first ones to go. Of course, we see Ellie sort of start to combobulate. She has these spirits within her. It happens all in the elevator, and one of the shots definitely is very much an homage to the tree scenes that we have seen in the other Evil Dead movies, but is done in an elevator, which I thought was pretty cool to see a different setting, which was one of my favorite things about this movie going in, is that we were moving away from the camp, from the wilderness and all of that, into more of a concrete setting, more of a city aesthetic, and I thought that really works well with the Evil Dead as we see in this movie. What we eventually see is Ellie starts to turn more and more into this very violent, very demonic being, and of course nobody knows what's going on until Danny tells them, hey, I think it has something to do with this book, with these records and all of this, and I think it's all my fault. What we eventually see is that another one of the kids, Bridget, is the next one to get the spirits and all of that within them. And now you have these two going out and about doing all of this, terrorizing the family, as we see Beth, Danny, and Cassie be locked into the apartment. And outside, of course, you have the neighbors who now get rampaged by Ellie as she is just going through all of them, trying to get inside, trying to get the kids and all of that, as well as her sister Beth. So now that they're dealing with two different demons out there, they are trying to figure out, what do we do now? Because Beth, of course, is here in the house, and we learn that Beth is actually pregnant as well. So there's a lot going on with Beth now, and of course, Cassie and Danny are trying to keep everything at bay. But now you have Bridget, now you have Ellie, and it's just going insane here. There's no way they're going to keep them out for as long as they can. Eventually, Danny does tell Beth about the records, about the book, and she's able to listen in to some of the old records that were kept, because we find out that there is these priests that had the book before, and then something happened with one of the priests, and this is the instructions that they're given, that the only way that they can be rid of these sort of like demons is for them to pretty much kill the person. And now they know that there is no other way. They have to survive, and that's the only way they're going to survive. We eventually see Danny be the next one to go, however, and turn into the demon. And now we have Ellie with Danny, Bridget, and all the other neighbors as well, reviving themselves after the kills that Ellie did. And now all of them become this big sort of monster and sort of mesh together. And I forget the name. Lee Cronin actually said it during a Q&A what it was called. I forgot the name, what he was calling this monster, but it is all of these like deadites combined together to create this huge monster, sort of like a scorpion-like thing. And it's chasing down now Beth and Cassie as they make their way down the elevator. Eventually it works and they're able to get down, and we see one of the coolest shots, I think, and one of the shots that might give a running to the most blood used, as this elevator fills up with blood completely, and then when it finally crashes down, it opens up. Shining moment right there. I mean, literally The Shining, as we see this elevator pour out buckets and not even buckets, I would say gallons and gallons of blood all throughout the garage as they're trying to escape. Eventually, the monster as well does come down here and is trying to kill them. We then see that Beth is able to take a chainsaw, and we see it go to town as best as it can. They're also able to use a wood chipper where they eventually get the monster in there and kill it, eventually turning it into nothing but mush as they are able to escape. So that's pretty much the ending, the movie of everything here. We saw that Ellie and the kids and all of that eventually turned into deadites, as well as the neighbors. We saw that the neighbors, all of them together with Ellie and the kids, turned into this giant monster that Beth was able to eventually kill with a chainsaw and with the help of Cassie and the wood chipper. And that's pretty much how we end right here. And I thought it was interesting how they're setting this up. I feel like we could definitely get some more story out of this. But that ending, do we see that this thing is over? Is the Book of the Dead gone for good? Is the Deadites done? No, we definitely don't, because Danny opened up something and we heard it through the recordings. And FYI, one of the recordings, the priest and all of that, is actually Bruce Campbell. So there's your Bruce Campbell cameo for an Evil Dead movie. But they say that it's going to continue, and we see it at the end with the campers that are at the beginning of the movie, because that's actually the ending of the movie right there. Because this camper, the one that is eventually the main deadite in the campsite, is actually one of the residents at the apartment that we see come down at the end when there's all this blood and gush, everything that's happened with the chainsaw, the wood chipper. Of course, Beth and Casey are now gone, and now we have all of this mess here, but the deadites and the curse and everything is still there. And we see that she eventually does get possessed, and this is going to lead into the events of the beginning of the movie that we saw, where she kills both of her friends and she goes and rises. And now we have Evil Dead Rise, because now we have this deadite out there that is definitely going to be doing a lot of messed up shit. So let me know your thoughts and opinions on it down below. Could we see other people from the apartments as well sort of happen to them and sort of have a citywide thing, maybe Army of Darkness-esque, but in the new age? That could definitely be something I would be open to see, and I hope that they do continue, because I think that what Lee Cronin was able to craft in this movie and really showcase is something I want to see in future installments. I want Jane Levy to come back. I want Bruce Campbell to come back and just have this big thing with Beth as well in this whole showdown with the Deadites and the Book of the Dead and all of that. So Very much so excited. It does set up a lot for other movies, which I'll talk about in another video with my theories on what could come next, because there's a lot of lore that's added to the Book of the Dead here as well. And I definitely do want to talk about that, but that will be in my theory video coming out later this week as the movie releases this Friday. But I think some places are going to be able to watch it today. So let me know if you watched it and what do you think about the movie and its ending. Let me know if you're excited for the future of Evil Dead or not. And yeah, as always, that's going to do it for me. If you haven't checked out my review to check out my thoughts on the movie, go check it out. It is on the channel already. And as always, I will be making a out of theater reaction today to Beau is Afraid, which I will be catching later on tonight. So stay tuned for that. If you're watching this video right now, it might be up by the time you're watching, but if you're just watching it today, like April 18th, it's probably going to be out later tonight. So stay tuned for that. And as always, I'll see all of you next time. Make sure you're following us on the channel, subscribing. We are currently going to be running a giveaway. You don't want to miss out on that. We'll make the announcement at 27,500. So stay tuned for that. And also our website, www.culturelixir.com. You can check out some more stuff from us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at culturelixir is also where you can check us out. As always, I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.